Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Jewish Stripper Raw and Real with Alla Kaplan. Hopefully, the mic is working, and we're not having technical difficulties, except for the fact that I'm a couple minutes late. But so today, and if you're new to my YouTube channel, or if you're new to my videos in general, you've never seen my podcast, welcome back. It's called The Jewish Stripper Ron Real with Alla Kaplan. And if you can't tell, the banner running at the bottom of the screen with my name there and there and there. And so I'm a former stripper, not a current stripper, but I happen to be a Jewish woman with a lot of opinions and a lot to say. Um, so one day I woke up and I decided to start a podcast. I decided to name it after the book I'm writing, The Life of a Jewish Stripper. So somebody asked me the other day, why do you use the Jewish stripper logo? Um, why do you use the Jewish stripper logo? Because I said, strippers are smart, and we're a lot more than what meets the eye. So, with that said, and there's a whole discussion went on about the fact that stripping is not a dignified job in someone's opinion, and that somehow it's harmful, and that also it's not, I guess, to some people in God's plan, or God, that's what God thinks is, or it's not a godly thing to do. Let's just put it that way. Someone decide that's when I've decided. I said that that was kind of judgmental because it wasn't really my business how, if somebody wants to strip for money to put themselves through school. And I worked with women who were working on a PhD or a social worker degree, or I worked with women who were in medical school, and I did a whole episode a while back all about stripping. And that one I had done because someone said, "Oh, you call yourself the Jewish stripper, but there's no strippers in your podcast." Um, so I had said, "Okay, this week, if we want to really talk about God, then I'm going to read you a chapter of my book that I called My Relationship with God." I think it was something like, and I'm going to read it to you, and it's called Me and God, a Love Hate Relationship. And it's from my book that has not yet been published, it's not finished, called The Life of a Jewish Stripper. So I decided that today, how about I talk about God? And that's what I'm going to read you my chapter that I had written a couple years ago. Still working on the book, like 5 years, 5 years still working on the book. So anyway, um, it's just been hard, honestly, to work on the book after October 7th because I didn't know what else to write about. So I said in my chapter, I knew that I would come to this chapter eventually. I suppose when you first started reading this book, you thought that I would tell you the exciting tales of being a stripper. You probably expected stories about all the fun that I had when I was stripping, and never imagined that a stripper, or ex stripper, I should say, would have thoughts on God, morality, and what God means to her. I think whether a person is a true believer, an agnostic, or an atheist, whatever one believes, at some point in their life, a person struggles with their relationship with God. Do I believe in God? That's an interesting question. Who would care what an ex-stripper thinks about God? Does God love everyone, even strippers and whores? Let's see where I'm at. So, yeah, haven't we been told that God loves all his quote unquote children equally and unconditionally? You would be surprised at the philosophical conversations my friend Chase and I had about God while getting high. Yes, even strippers have existential conversations. Surprise, surprise, we are more than just what you see when we get naked for money. We are human just like you. In ancient times, before God revealed himself to be the one true God to Abraham and Moses and the Jewish people as all other, they were pagans and had a different God for every aspect of life. They prayed to the gods for a good harvest, protection from evil, health or healing for their loved ones. Whatever and whenever things were good, they thanked the gods, and when things went wrong, they blamed the gods. The Hindu religion has always had many different gods, and they still do. Do I personally believe in God? I would say at one point I was on the fence at times. Much like the people of ancient times, I am grateful when a prayer is answered. And when prayers are not answered, I'm asking why my God has forsaken me. I try to tell myself to be patient and to wait. Maybe there's a reason. Perhaps it isn't my time yet. And then I get pissed off that my prayers are still not answered. And then I think there is a God, but he can be such an a hole. And why me? As I previously, as I said previously, in my book, sometimes I think I'm cursed. I used to think this, and I wrote this a while back. Um, Cursed with stupidity and cursed from birth in general. I've asked God why he gave me the parents he did. I've asked God many times why I haven't been able to find true love. I've asked God, excuse me, I asked God why he let many bad things happen to me. I have asked God why he has not favored me with children. And like people of ancient times, I've blamed God when things didn't turn out the way I wanted. And then I was grateful when things went well. What I learned is some things are a blessing in disguise. I wonder sometimes if people invented God to explain all the horrible things that happen in the world. I am very weary of people who don't question God's existence. I'm also wary of people who are true believers and who say that their God is the God of mercy and that everything has a purpose. What purpose is served by giving a child cancer? What purpose is served when serial killers mutilate their victims? What purpose is served with pain and anguish? These are my questions for God. I do thank God for giving me strength to leave an abusive relationship. I do thank God that I have a home and heat in the winter. I do thank God for having at least one loving parent. I thank God for so many things, like the fact that I'm alive when I could have died so many times. I thank God that I want to live now after wanting to kill myself so many times. He or it, whatever God is, has saved me for some reason, some purpose, but at the same time, I question certain things in the universe. My concept of God is not the old man with the gray beard sitting in the sky like Zeus that Greek mythology paints. My concept of God is more about karma and the universe. And I don't think of God as being male or female. I think of God more as something that is not meant for us to understand completely. I believe the human brain cannot possibly wrap its brain around what God, the universe, or what karma really is. I'm very much drawn to Buddhism, which states that there must be suffering first. Until I was sent to Hebrew school, I had no concept of God at all. Until I realized what being Jewish meant, I knew nothing of God. I never had a bat mitzvah. However, I was sent to confirmation classes when I was around 13 years old. That's where I learned about the Holocaust and what the Jewish people had been through. When I saw the atrocities the Jews had been through, that is when I started to question how a God that was supposed to love his people so much could put them through such horrors. Before coming to America, I'm originally from Russia, in case you don't know, I am. So before coming to America, I didn't know about anti Semitism. I was unaware that Jews were different from other people. I didn't know anything about my own religion or other religions. I had no idea what being Jewish meant. I knew nothing of Christianity, making sure the camera's on. Um, I knew nothing of Christianity or that many people blame Jews for killing Jesus. It was after coming to America that I learned how hated Jews were in the world. It was in the confirmation classes that I found out exactly how many Jews were killed in World War II. Yes, back in Russia, my family told me we were Jewish, but I was a child and no one explained anything to me about religion or ethnicity. I knew nothing about Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, and my own Judaism. As I stated previously, no one really told me anything at home. I may have overheard things my mother, grandmother, and my aunt discussed, but it was grown ups talking. And since I was a kid, I probably figured their conversation didn't relate to me. I was a happy go lucky kid until I was molested. Looking back and thinking about it, I realized even though I was only 4 or 5 years old, in my gut, I knew something wasn't right, but I told no one. And when it happened again, right before we left Russia, I knew again that what happened wasn't normal. I was 9 years old at the time when we left, and I knew in my gut that it wasn't normal for a grown man to touch a child the way he touched me. But again, I told no one. Everything was a secret, and I didn't want to rock the boat. Though my inner child wanted to scream out, Mommy, Grandma, why is this man doing this? Why can't you hear it and stop it? So, looking back, I asked, why did God let this happen to me? And what was the purpose of it? My old boss at the law firm I worked at in upstate New York used to tell me we are always being tested. I would say to myself, why do we have to be tested constantly? And haven't we been through enough tests? I'm tired of being tested. As the same, and as in the name of this chapter, my relationship with God has truly been a love hate relationship. That's kind of in the past. I often think God hates me. That's also in the past. I often question why some people, pardon me, I often question why some people seem born lucky and given everything when others are not. Yes, life is unfair, and that is a simple truth. But why are some prayers answered and others aren't? Could it be that really the world is just random? Or are we constantly paying for our past karmic sins? If you believe in reincarnation, then you believe you brought certain things from past life into this life, like some Buddhists believe. For answers to these questions, you have to dig a little deeper. In my opinion, you have to understand quantum physics. I talk about this a lot in quantum physics and about manifestation in past episodes. In my opinion, you have to understand quantum physics. The Jews believe in numbers. They believe the Torah is a code which has an algorithm. They believe absolutely everything that happens in our world, whether good or bad, has a purpose. They call it tikkun olam. Tikkun means to repair, and olam means the world. It implies that when God created the world, he purposely left a rift, and it is our job, not just as Jews, but all human beings, to repair it. In quantum physics, the concept is choice. Every action, every choice is actually a separate reality. The concept is that by your actions, you actually change the molecular structure of your surroundings. Your choices are your reality. By the choices you make, you create your reality. So then it is free will that was given to us to choose. That means every decision, every action has a consequence. All my choices in life have led me to this point today. If I made a different choice and different decisions, I would be living in an alternate reality. It's like choosing doors. Which door do you want to walk through? Is this influenced by God, or is it your free will? One knows inherently when they are making wrong choices that it will lead to heartache and pain, and yet one makes the choice anyway. And then, of course, one prays to God to lead them out of that living hell. These are the tests, these are the lessons. As cliche as it sounds, if you keep doing the same thing over and over, you will not learn the lesson until you are ready. No one has put you through the pain but yourself. Here we are back to the question: do I believe in God? Absolutely, I do. I would hate to be preachy here or suggest that I have some sort of message to deliver. Yes, I do believe in a higher power, and that higher power lives in every being, in every person, whether they be a good person or a bad person. Even evil people who know right from wrong and choose to be evil anyway. I think we have like maybe one more page left in the chapter. Yeah, about one more page in the chapter. So I personally believe that God is that thing that is divine in all of us, within all of us. I believe that God is your internal compass. I believe it is that thing inside that tells you right from wrong. I believe God is your gut instinct, the one that gives you the bad vibes and the good vibes, the one you go against and screw up when you know better, the one you know if you don't listen to, shit will turn out bad. This is not about holy books or scriptures or anything you grew up with in a church or synagogue or any temple. This is your inner self who knows what is best, and when you go against it, shit goes sideways. Perhaps my opinions are shocking, but in my humble opinion, God is not about religion but spirituality. Though I am a Jewish person, I believe that all roads lead to the same place. Can one be a spiritual person without following and committing to a specific religion? Can one have a belief in a higher power without going to temple or a church? Most atheists I've known believe in being good just to be good because it's the right thing to do. Moses received the 10 commandments, and the majority of the world lives by those commandments. But I wonder, if Moses did not get those commandments, would we inherently know right from wrong? Would we know on our own that it's wrong to murder, steal, lie with your neighbor's wife, be a false witness against your neighbor? Those are just some of the commandments. But the number one commandment was that you shall have no other gods. He is, or it is, a demanding God. He can be an angry God. This is just saying that you will be punished if you have other gods or false idols. To the Jews, he is the one and only God. I'll bet you never expected these musings on God from a former stripper, a Jewish stripper. So I don't have a lot of time. I don't really do more than a half hour usually. And I will just say maybe my views on God are shocking, perhaps. I just believe with all my heart that karma is real. And if you do heinous things, and right now the Jewish people are being accused of a lot of heinous things, but that's an opinion, it's not a fact. A lot of people want to throw around words right now like genocide and settlers and all kinds of, things that are not really true. But I believe that karma is real. It comes back as a boomerang. Um, if there's a God, if my personal God is, like I said, it's the universe, listening to your, when I try to listen to my inner compass, my true compass, when I know that I'm going against, if I'm going against the grain of my true compass, then that's when, like I said, things go sideways. When I've done so many things in my past that that were, I knew that I should know better than to do them. And that's when things go awry. So the question is it free will? If God gave us free will, the $1,000,000 question, if God gave us free will, then we have a choice. What do we choose to follow? And how, and I think somebody joined me on YouTube, or and I apologize if I ignored your comment. I'm not trying to ignore your comment. So if somebody is doing heinous things, murder, is there the question is there purpose in bad things? How do you explain, like I said, a child with cancer? What is the purpose of that? What is the purpose for their parents? What is the purpose for their pain? Those things are very hard to wrap your brain around. And if you'd like to engage in this conversation and you want to leave a comment on my Facebook page, or you want to leave a comment on my YouTube, so I'm on YouTube at it's, you could just search the Jewish stripper, or Alla Kaplan 32 ALLAKAPLAN 3270 um, on YouTube. And I want to, by the way, I lost a few subscribers this week on YouTube, and maybe people weren't into what I've been saying about Israel and the war and things like that. But I want to thank the people that have stuck with me, that have come back to watch new videos. I want to say thank you for subscribing. I want to say thank you for watching. I want to say thank you for continuing with me on this journey that I woke up one day and decided that I'm going to do a podcast. And I appreciate every one of you who has commented, even comments that I may not like. We all have I think we all have the right to our own opinion, and your opinion may differ from mine, but I respect it. And so, thank you for following me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for just being part of my life and being on my journey with me. And what I guess I will leave you, I'm going to go back to the comment that someone had made to me about strippers and why do I use the logo, the Jewish stripper. Why do I use a stripper as my logo at all? And so, as I said, I've got, first of all, I've got nothing to hide. I was a stripper, and there's a heck of a lot of people that used to strip who are now really big stars like Lady Gaga, Channing Tatum, Cardi B. I could go on and on. Somebody even threw the name J Lo in there. I don't know if she was ever actually a stripper. She only played one. But there's a whole lot of people that Brad Pitt, I didn't know. I found out was used to be a stripper. There's a whole lot of people out there who are first of all, God loves everyone. That's what I'm going to leave with, really, is that, you know what, somebody said something about that, well, you should help people who are broken. If they're stripping, why do you this what I'm going to ask you is, why would you assume that just because someone is stripping and that's their job and they're, making good money at it, and somebody said, well, can't they just be a bartender or a waiter or a waitress? Well, that's, they have their own relationship with God. And if they feel that, and first of all, I don't want to some people to assume that just because someone is stripping, they must be somehow broken, that there's something wrong with them because they're broken. Because at the end of the day, it's a job, as I've said before. People love to go see beautiful bodies. And I also want to tell you this, that I've met a lot of strippers who are actually very religious people, who were very into Christianity and or Buddhism, or or other Jewish strippers that I've met who considered themselves Jewish, and they were strippers. And strippers are super intelligent, myself included, of course, but I'm so humble too. But strippers are super smart. And you know what? Just because you're stripping doesn't mean that you're broken. It just, I don't even know why someone would say something like that. Because and also there's a lot of religious people going to strip clubs. So I'll leave you with a thought today is, God loves everyone. And just because you're stripping or you're a sex worker of any kind doesn't mean that you're somehow broken. That's a choice that they've made, and that's their relationship with God. And at the end of the day, they have their relationship with God, and that's who they, if they have a relationship with God, that's who they answer to, and no one is, it should be judging. Don't judge a book by its cover. Period. That's all I've got to say about that. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a great night.